Regulars to this channel will know that I have been on a vinyl playback journey this last 18 months or so, and it's been all about new experiences for me, which has been fantastic. But in this video, I'm going to attempt to answer two important questions. Can a high output moving coil cartridge, such as the Goldring Eroica HX, make sense as an upgrade path? And should you upgrade the cartridge or the phono stage first? And just for a quick brief, if you're new to this channel, I have been an audiophile since I was a teenager, but I grew up with cassette tapes and then CDs and then mini disc, never vinyl. 18 months ago, I got my first turntable, and the rest of my journey is all documented in the channel in a playlist called A Vinyl Beginner's Journey. And in my last installment, I introduced my new turntable, the Bergman Modi, with the Bergman 4 linear tracking tone arm. And this is a very high-end setup for a vinyl beginner, of course, but I am a professional audio reviewer, so it's a tool of my trade, albeit a very nice one. And the cartridge I have been using and reviewing at the moment is the Goldring Eroica HX. And the phono stage I have been using is the AVID Pellar, and I was already using this with my previous turntable setup, the AVID Ingenium plug and play. So it's not new to me, but how it responds to a new cartridge is of course a new experience for me. So getting a new turntable and new cartridge all at once was a big change, but it wasn't the only big change. I added an Isoacoustics Delos isolation platform. And I added the Delos for a few reasons really. Firstly was to raise the height of the Bergman turntable so that you could more easily see it on camera from the angle that you're looking at the moment. And also easier for me to use it, less bending down. I'm definitely not getting any younger. The Delos seemed like it was the thickest, the tallest or the thickest isolation platform that I could find from my research. And I have used other isoacoustics products in the past. I'll put a review link up there to one of the videos that I've created for that. So I know their isolation products are very good and they are very effective. So the Delos was a big chunk. It is a big chunky thing, but it was a big chunk of money for me. I think it was around £800. But a product like that, of course, will last you a lifetime, providing you're happy with the color. But let's talk about the Goldring Eroica HX. It's a high output moving coil cartridge that costs £550, which puts it very much in moving magnet price territory, and that is important to consider here because it's been designed as an upgrade to a moving magnet cartridge without you needing to replace your phono stage. However, that is a claim that I am not 100% sure about. The Eroica has a Geiger 2 diamond stylus, which seems like it's a unique to Goldring design, and they claim it has a 5 micron play-in surface so it can track as high as 50 kHz without distortion, which sounds very impressive. It has a pure iron cross armature design with ultra fine enameled copper windings, and this is the part of the design that gives it the higher outputs. Its housing is made from a composite material called Pocan, and it just looks like an inert material. And one of the marketing big selling features of the Eroica HX is that it's an easy way for a user to upgrade to the benefits of a moving coil cartridge, but they can still use their same moving magnet phono stage input. So that sounds really appealing if you own an integrated amplifier with only a moving magnet phono stage built in. When I set up my new turntable setup, I actually set the cartridge setting on the AVID Pellar phono stage to moving coil low. And I actually can't remember why I did that. I think I did it because I just wanted to test it, just wanted to try it and see what it was like. And the results were really great. So I just left it alone actually for about 2 weeks of sporadic vinyl listening. And the first big difference I noticed with this whole new turntable vinyl analog setup compared to my last was the vinyl noise floor. It had changed from being more obviously invasive on the music to more of a background entity, so less in the way of the music. And for my listening enjoyment, this was huge, as I was no longer stressing anywhere near as much about pops and crackles and nasties. I was now more focused on the music and enjoying it. But of course, when I was in work or audiophile critical thinking mode, I was still focused on specific areas of the sound I would like to improve, such as clarity. But I was also very impressed by how music now had a lot more energy and pizzazz about it. So for me, there was more dynamics in the big parts of the music, but also more dynamics in the small stuff too. So overall, this was a very nice, big, actually, improvement compared to what I was experiencing before. And that is the key word. Listening to music was now much more of an experience. It was bigger, more alive, more energetic, grander in scale, more clear. There's more clarity to the soundstage. And it was just, a massive uplift in performance compared to what I've been listening to before. But I was still critical thinking, the audiophile in me, the always chasing down perfection was still, concentrating on focusing on some specific areas that I would like to improve, such as just overall clarity, seeking out more soundstage space and resolution. Definitely bass fullness would be one, just some overall refinement, improved refinement I was thinking about, and also maybe treble quality. Those were the kind of key areas that I was thinking, I would like to try and improve further still. And it was at this point I added a monster of a power amplifier to the system, the Griffin Essence, which is a pure Class A 50 at 8, 100 at 4 and 200 watts per channel at 2 ohms. And I'm going to say at this very early stage of its review, it seems like an almost perfect power amplifier. And the Griffin Essence, of course, got much more out of the speakers, so much more out of the rest of the system too, of course. But regardless of how good an amplifier is, it can only amplify the quality of the signal that it is getting. And all of those little key areas that I was looking for or listening to thinking, I'd like to improve those were all still there. So that was really interesting for me. And at the same time, I've also been very interested to try different phono stages. So I've been researching the different options that are available. And one was recommended to me, which really caught my attention. And that is the YBA Passion PH1. And it costs just under £2,000. And what's unique about it is it's battery powered. So the circuit is removed from the mains grid for its power, which seems very cool to me for something extremely sensitive like a phono stage. The second thing that stood out to me is you select moving magnet or moving coil, and that's it. It auto detects what impedance the cartridge is and adjusts to it. But I really like the simplicity of it, because one thing that's already ingrained on me is that I really don't like kind of hard to access dip switches. Maybe as a kind of a one and done situation, it's fine. But when you're a reviewer and you're looking to maybe change things, that becomes very quickly, a pain in the, you know what I mean. And the last thing that stood out to me is Yves Bernard, who is YBA's company founder and designer. And I've met him and had some long conversations with him, so I know he is a very smart man. So if I've understood this correctly, and I know he's had a long background in phono stage design, he's designed a custom moving coil transformer for the products that use MU metal, which is a shielding type of material, to make a transformer that is high band pass, so it transfers a big signal while also retaining all of the signal quality, or the important precious small signal that comes off of our moving coil cartridge, because it doesn't go through any switches or any relays. So again, I don't fully understand that technology, but it definitely sounds impressive. And I definitely like the PH1's form factor for not being too huge, but large enough to still offer a balanced output. And the yellow colour front OLED screen is really growing on me. It's a warm colour, and it certainly makes a change to blue. Testing the YBA and Goldring combination, this time I figured I would use the moving magnet input so that I could test Goldring's claim that the Eroica HX is an upgrade for moving magnet phono stage owners, because I figured that I should at the very least get a very similar sound quality to what I was getting from the AVID Pellar phono stage using the moving coil settings. It shouldn't really matter. The YBA is twice the price as a phono stage, so I should at least get, something similar in terms of sound quality, but I didn't. I actually got what I think was noticeably worse sound quality, and it just reminded me of the sound from vinyl that I was experiencing before from my old turntable setup using them, on a very affordable moving magnet cartridge. It was just the presentation whole. It was kind of toned down, softer, squidgier. The dynamics had really reserved and come back down. But the big thing for me was the sound had become more two-dimensional and more kind of tied to the speakers. The more expansive, more dynamic, more clear, open sound that I've been enjoying was now gone, and it was back to more of a sound that I was experiencing before. So I definitely wasn't expecting this. Like I said, I was expecting the sound to be on par, really, about equal, but it really wasn't, and it was very obvious to me straight away. So of course, the next thing I did was use the moving coil input on the YBA phono stage. And what happened next, I was definitely not expecting, because it was like a complete role reversal. I was now getting a very big scale, a very lively dynamic sound that would rival some digital setups. Far improved clarity and energy. Individual instruments within the soundstage were very lively with real verve and excitement about them. And I put on the Tron Legacy album, and the bass was big and far more substantial and satisfying than I was again expecting. And at the other end, the treble was lively and energetic, and in the main, crisp and clear and impressive. But this was all much more obvious with some of my records more than others, so this setup was really showing the differences in the pressing quality. But all of the records I listened to definitely had a noticeable, significant uplift in overall sound quality. And if I was being, ultra critical, which is my job, I would say that this system or this combination maybe had just a little bit too much, energy at times. But I always have to remind myself that real instruments, they don't sound soft and squidgy, they sound energetic and they sound lively. And this combination, the Eroica HX with the YBA off the moving coil input, off the normal setting and the high setting, it didn't really matter actually between the two, which shows that impedance and the way that works, that system, the way it works and the fact that it does work. It didn't really matter. It was always a lively, energetic, make you want to get up out of the seat and move around type of presentation. So yeah, that was a real big difference. And it's the most lively, the most clear up front and big scale and big bass sound I've had from vinyl so far, which made me put on record after record after record. We've all been there, right? That kind of, I can't wait to listen to the next one to see what it sounds like type of experience. And this has definitely been, without a doubt, the most enjoyable, best performance, technically the best sound that I've had, but I don't care about that so much. It's all about experiences. So for me, it's like the biggest and best and most enjoyable experience I've had from vinyl so far. But if I was to be critical again, I would say that the nasty pops that we sometimes get with vinyl seemed more pronounced from the YBA phono stage than when I was using the AVID. And I think that is because the YBA has a lower noise floor and is therefore getting out of the way of the music for good and for bad. I think the AVID is smoothing the music over some, so you're losing some energy and some soundstage clarity and some small details in favour of more overall smoothness, which can be very pleasing and could be what you're looking for, but that comes with some smoothing over effect. However, I've got to say, it's still a very nice phono stage to use with the Eroica HX if that's more at your budget level, or if you just want a nice smooth sound but still with a very good overall presentation. But really, it's the YBA PH1 that's made a really big mark on me, because it's shown me how dynamic vinyl can sound, how that bass can really come through, and how it can start to create what I would call more high-end sound. So that's been really inspirational for me, because it's now encouraged me to want to keep going with my journey and try out other things, and definitely try out some other moving coil cartridges. So I think to summarise this video and answer the two questions, can the Goldring Eroica HX make sense to you as an upgrade path from maybe a more entry-level moving magnet phono stage? Well, I think most interesting for me is it's being able to show me very clearly the differences between moving magnet and moving coil, but not just from the cartridge point of view, but also from the phono stage point of view, and how different phono stages react to that different cartridge, and then the sound quality that you get from that. So that's been, massively interesting. It's much more significant a difference than I was expecting. But coming back to the Eroica HX just for a second, can I recommend that as an upgrade path? If you're, got more budget, maybe entry level moving magnet phono stage, and maybe an integrated amplifier that only offers a moving magnet input. And if you're expecting maybe a huge jump in performance for that price, or for that £550, well then, I'm not sure I can, because that's definitely not what I experienced. I definitely didn't experience a huge uplift in sound when I used it from the moving magnet phono stage. However, if you have an integrated amplifier that also has a moving coil input, well then for that price, I would recommend it, because the moving coil definitely seems to offer more than I've experienced so far from moving magnet. However, that's a very generalized statement that I can't fully back up at this stage. So the second question of what should you upgrade first, the phono stage or the cartridge? And this is really a chicken and egg situation that's not easy to answer. And I think that is why the Eroica HX exists as a product, because really I think you should probably upgrade both together if you're looking to make the biggest improvement. But maybe as a future-proofed upgrade path, you could buy an Eroica HX, use it with your existing phono stage, which maybe is a moving magnet phono stage built into your integrated amplifier. I'm sure you will still see some benefit over a more affordable entry-level budget moving magnet phono stage because of the Geiger 2 stylus and the other design aspects of the Eroica. But then when you upgrade that phono stage to one that maybe has a moving coil input, well then with that same cartridge you can straight jump from moving magnet to moving coil. And that might be where you'll see a bigger uplift in performance than if you bought maybe a better moving magnet cartridge and then had to stay moving magnet with the new phono stage. Because for me, that's where the big jump in performance has come from, going from moving magnet to moving coil. So this has been a very interesting stage of my journey, testing these new things out, testing the better phono stages, trying, a high output MC cartridge. And I think the main takeaway from this experience has been the importance of that phono stage really is important, and what that can do to the sound, but also what moving coil cartridges can offer maybe over moving magnet. That really has opened my eyes, and again it's kind of encouraged me, definitely inspired me to want to keep exploring and testing other things, maybe other phono stages too of course, but definitely other moving coil options, maybe more higher end options. And on that, you guys recommended some great moving coil cartridges to me in the last installment video, which I really appreciated. But just looking at Goldring's options, I've already liked the E3 a lot, and I've had some really great listening experiences from the Eroica HX. So the Ethos at just under £1,000, which is Goldring's kind of flagship cartridge, that seems really interesting to me, because it's price per pound or performance per pound ratio seems like it could be very high with the Ethos, but there are so many high-end cartridges to choose from. It's kind of mind-boggling to some degree. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, interesting and helpful in some ways. If you're interested to see the rest of my vinyl journey and what new things I can learn and discover and share with you guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you've enjoyed the video, of course, hit the thumbs up button. And if you'd like to support what I'm doing, support the channel, then please consider joining my Patreon.